are starting with roll for Smaugust, week 2, humanoid. Gonna roll some d4s to pick which list, and then I will be rolling d6s to figure out what on the list I'm gonna be stuck with. So let's check it out. D4s, 2 and 4. So the descriptor list and the texture list. Descriptor list, texture list. 5 and 5. I'm going to re-roll this one because that would be sticky again and I've already done it. 3. Elemental and spiky humanoid dragon for Smaugust. So I'm gonna have to think about this.
Kogar was not the type of adventurer who ended up atop a rocky landscape. He is not rugged or well-seasoned. In fact, he's more prone to sneaking and dealing with anything else. Sadly, for the golden-skinned tiefling, this is where he found himself. After he was found hiding in the airship's hold and they tossed their stowaway overboard. It was not a far fall, but when you encounter incredibly sharp and jagged rocks on your way down, anyone would struggle with a landing. That was where he was sure he was going to die. Alone, cold, bleeding, skewered in the wilderness. He did not expect to be saved, let alone by the most unusual of creatures. Its name was Snip, or Cut. Kogar really wished he had taken the time to learn Draconic at some point in his life. He knew enough about the language to identify it, but not understand it, and the small creature had explained his name as best he could by miming scissors with his stubby-clawed fingers. Snip was incredibly stout for his incredibly small frame, almost if a gnome had a dwarven variety, but their whole demeanor was more similar to kobolds than anything Kogar had ever seen, though not really sneaky or sniffly anyway. He was a proud creature. When he appeared, Kogar was more than startled, as rocks appeared to be speaking to him in the darkness with fiery glowing eyes. Snip's whole back was covered in thick rocky spines that went from the top of his head down to the tip of his flat tail, camouflaging him into the surroundings. Snip disappeared back into the rocky outcroppings, and soon returned with more of his kind. These miniature, yet bulky, dragonborn-like creatures, calling them Pebbleborn, a name which, once they were able to understand each other, the whole village seemed to be amused by and adopt themselves. While the Pebbleborn did not have any clerics or any form of magical healing within this community, they had skilled medicinal healers. In fact, skilled is the number one way he would have described each and every member of this community. Kogar learned quickly in his time with them that craft was something that these creatures took incredible pride in. Things were simple, made of easy-to-find materials from within the mountain or on top of it, but he'd never seen any work made with such craftsmanship. And that is saying something, since he had seen the inside of many nobles' homes in the dark when no one heard him enter through a window. One of the funniest things about the Pebbleborn is they seemed shocked that Kogar showed little to no interest in crafts himself. In the beginning, when he was bedridden, they had tried to communicate with him to get him something to occupy his time with. When they realized he had no craft, little gifts began to arrive, accompanied by lessons. They seemed determined that he'd learn some sort of skill, and seemed distressed that he had not already learned one. In the following weeks, the tiefling became rather adept at knitting. As he spent more time with the Pebbleborn, they began to be able to communicate more efficiently, and began to understand more of this world. He was honest with them about his career, and while they were quite interested in the skills needed to pick locks or move silently, more skills for them to collect, they were completely aghast at the concept of both theft and selling things for much more than what they were worth. It appeared that lying about the quality of a crafted item was one of the most taboo things you could do within this community. It took months for Kogar to be able to move properly again, and more for him to learn the skills needed to leave the mountain safely. Snip, having been the most proficient at learning Common, was chosen to accompany Kogar home, as well as to carry the various wares of his people to the greater world to see what craftsmanship the greater world had to offer the small community. As they spotted the village at the foot of the large mountain, Kogar's stomach turned with anxiety. He knew what he would have done when faced with a, innocent mark, such as the new adventurer Snips. As they stepped into view, he made a silent vow to himself to protect the Pebbleborn from everyone like him. My goodness. 1, I have not homebrewed a race before, let alone one that I statted up to be a playable race. 2, these guys are adorable, and I really would love to see a world populated with them because they are so cute. So we have the Pebbleborn. They are small, and they are spiny, and they are humanoid, and they are craftsmen, and I love them. The original idea kind of came from wanting to have a different version of a small draconic race. I absolutely adore kobolds. I really want to have various kobold characters and stuff, and I love the designs. I like giving mine like huge floppy ears because I think it's cute. But I think that there should be more. I love playing small races. Pretty much most of my D&D characters end up being small races. I just think it's fun that you can like hide and sneak and be punted. So there needs to be more small races, and there needs to be, tiny dragonborn-like creatures. So we have the Pebbleborn. Anyway, so the Pebbleborn are between 1 and 2 feet tall, but can like weigh over 100 pounds. They are just like solid little dudes. Hefty. They cannot swim. I wasn't quite sure how to put this into the stats, but what I've done is they have a walking speed of 25 feet, but a swim speed of 0. Between their like rocky plates and their like stubby little arms and legs, like I cannot help but just imagine one falling into the water, just sinking, just sinking. And I know some people think that's a massive handicap. I personally think it's fun to play characters with massive handicaps. I mean, look at the Kinku. They can't even, like, speak regular words. Like, again, there should be more characters with things like this. This just makes them interesting. I love it. Okay. So, they have stone camouflage. They have their rocky spines, which actually gives them a base armor class of 14 plus their dexterity modifier. As a rule, they're not usually super dexterous, but I didn't do anything with their ability score to change that. Their ability scores are Constitution increased by 2, Strength increased by 1, because they're just like little dudes who can get some shit done. You get a tool proficiency, culturally. More culturally than racially, but like it's part of their culture. You get proficiency with the artisan tool of your choice. They do have the ability to bludgeon people with their tails, which I also love. Basically 1d6 plus your strength modifier bludgeoning damage, which is also great. Especially because they're so small and they're just capping people's shins. Just knocking people to the ground. I love it. Craftsmanship culture. This is something I really like. It's a spin on some other stuff other people have. But when you make an investigation check when trying to determine the quality or craftsmanship of an object, you are considered proficient in the investigation skill, and you add double your proficiency bonus. Just because, again, their whole culture is based on quality. So I imagine if you were playing one, they would be able to tell the quality of something and not get grifted super easily. They lean towards lawful and good. As you could kind of tell from the little story of Kogar there. They reach the age of maturity at 10 and can live up to about 200. So again, they're similar to kobolds, minus the fact that kobolds are just constantly getting murdered. These guys are, you know, more hidden and distantly related, so that doesn't happen to them because they're sweet and I don't want them to die. Names generally focus on the family line's craft. Stonemason might have Chip, Cobbler might have Stitch, and then of course we had, you know, Snip in our story. And yeah, they're just good little guys, good little craftsmen. They're just good at doing their little jobs, and I love them. And I'm gonna have to find a game where someone might let me play one. And if you play one, please tell me what it's like. Or if you add one as an NPC or something, I want to know how these guys fit in worlds. Please. Anyway, that is Smaugust Week 2. Video's coming out a little bit late because I've been busy and video editing has been not a focus. But I'll be giving these guys out to you. You will have access to the stats. I will put them on DnD Beyond, and you'll be able to get the mini on Thingiverse. I'll link it all below. And I will be starting next week soon, where we're going to be doing a dragon hybrid. Besides that, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed these guys. I freaking love them. And, yeah, thank you to my patrons. And I will be seeing you guys next time. Bye.